Schools in England are being asked to save £3 billion at a time when teachers say budgets are already at breaking point.
A report by the public spending watchdog says the government's failed to explain how the cuts can be made without compromising education standards. We're joined now by Serge Safai. He's a head teacher at the Sacred Heart Catholic School in London. Welcome back to you, Serge. OK, talk to me in language that all our viewers can understand here. Is the government demanding £3 billion worth of cuts, or is it more complex than that?
No, I think it's quite straightforward. I'd like to know exactly how much we're due to get and where the cuts come. I mean, in honesty, it's already happening and we're being squeezed. I came on your programme a few weeks ago and you pointed out £1.4 billion were taken out of the education budget, simply going to recruiting agencies. That's as a result of teacher shortages. We're all feeling that. So budgets are already being squeezed. We're supposed to be resourceful, and we want to be, but let's stop lying about what's going on. Education budget has not been frozen at the beginning of this Parliament. The pension contributions have gone through the roof. There's natural inflation itself. The 1% pay rise was not funded. As a result, ultimately, I can fiddle around with quite a lot. Maybe hang off on painting a few classrooms for a year or two. Books, we'll have to do with a few less. Department capitations, OK, we can squeeze those, tell the departments to be a bit more careful, but ultimately we're talking about a rise in pupil-teacher ratios and increased teacher loadings.
OK, so bigger classes and teachers with more to do. I mean, the government says, of course, this is where the discrepancy is, isn't it? It is increasing the school's budget by 7.7%. The problem, it seems to me, is the number of pupils is expected to rise over the same period. So you have massively more pupils in the system, and therefore the amount of money available per pupil is going down, and that seems to be the main problem. Now, you know, I've got children in the education system. Parents will be thinking, well, what on earth is this going to do to, you know, how does that impact my child? We've already got big classes. We've already got teachers who are overloaded. But the government says you can do it. You can manage your budgets better. Can you?
Oh, we will. We will have to do it, because ultimately our schools have to remain open. But Suzanne, you're absolutely right. When the government talk about numbers without context, you know, it just becomes another announcement, and we're supposed to believe it's great news. It's not. As you've rightly said, there's huge numbers of extra pupils coming into the system. The money isn't keeping up. For me, listen, especially after your last piece, we mustn't just keep moaning and moaning about lack of money. I think we talked about the NHS, and we understand. What I, and I'm sure lots of other head teachers would like, is clarity. Give us a chance to prepare. Let's plan so that we don't have these emergency actions. We suddenly find tens of thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands of pounds out of our budget at short notice. That's where the problems come. We haven't got enough time to prepare. Let's start being honest about how much we're going to get per pupil and give us a chance to plan ahead so that we can keep, you know, these huge impact to a minimum, if we can.